Okay. Sorry, I always forget to use the mic. We're coming back from break, and now we are starting the work session. So I just want to recap a little bit here. In June, at our state board retreat, we, once getting the secretary's plan, thought about how do we want to go through this process. And we went back to Act 46, and I want to go back there again, just as a board before we move forward. And if in Act 46 on page 19, it goes through what really is now the board's charge. And so I'm looking on page 19, if people are in their binders, they want to follow. And it just looks at transition to substantive governance structures proposal in the final plan. And it asks the Secretary of Education proposal in order to provide educational opportunities through sustainable governance structures designed to meet goals set forth in Section 2 of this Act pursuant to one of the models described in Section 5. And it directs the Secretary. It says the Secretary shall review the governance structures of school districts and supervisory unions of the state as they will exist or anticipate to exist on July 1st, 2019. This review shall include considerations, any proposals submitted by districts or groups of districts pursuant to Section 9 of this Act, and conversations with those districts. So it directs the Secretary to have these conversations. It continues on or before June 1st, 2018, shall develop, publish on the Agency of Education's website, and present to the State Board of Education a proposed plan that, to the extent necessary to promote the purpose stated at the beginning of this subsection, would move districts into a more sustained preferred model of governance set forth in Section 5 of this Act. And again, that was the Secretary did release the report, and we had an extra meeting in June to go over the report. It continues on. If it is not possible or practicable to develop a proposal that realigns some districts where necessary into an education district in a manner that adheres to the protections of Section 4 of this Act, which is protection for tuition paying and operating districts, or that otherwise meet all aspects of Section 5, then the proposal may also include alternative government structures as necessary, such as a supervisory union with member districts or a unified union school district with a smaller average daily membership, provided, however, that any proposed alternative governance structure shall design to ensure adherence to the protections of Section 4 of this Act, promote the purpose stated at the beginning of this subsection. It goes on. The State Board's plan, on or before November 30th, 2018, the State Board shall review and analyze the Secretary's proposal under the provisions in the subsection of this. And they may take testimony or ask for additional information from districts and supervisory unions. Just a reminder, the board looked at that and it said may, and we made it for ourselves and said shall. And we then set forth this summer going through and hearing from public testimony. It goes on, after it says may take testimony or ask for additional information from districts and supervisory unions, shall approve the proposal either in its original form or an amended form that adheres to the provisions of subsection A of this section, and shall publish on the agency's websites its order merging and realigning districts and supervisory unions where necessary. So this section shall not apply to any interstate school district, a regional career technical center district, a district that between June 30th, 2013 and July 2nd, 2019 began to operate as a unified union school district, and voluntarily merged into preferred educational governance structure and education district set forth of Section 5, is a regional education district or other district eligible to receive incentives to 2010 acts and resolves Act number 153 as amended. So that's what's charged to us today, is really this going through and review and analyze this plan. And at our last board meeting, we decided to really think about our obligations and duties under the law, because we've heard a lot from others telling us obligations and duties and interpretations of obligations and duties, but really making sure that we're grounded in what is being directed, because we are not lawmakers. We are not a judge. we were tasked by the legislature to do a task, and which was by legislatures that were democratically elected and set forth a plan. They made an interesting choice. This was not through rulemaking. It was very direct, saying the secretary was to make a plan, we were to review it and adopt or amend it. And so that brings us here today. We're going to start with our obligations and duties. We are going to try to develop guiding principles. And one of the interesting parts of this is we are starting our processing this information in a very public meeting. And so the secretary had the privilege of working on this document for months and having to have their thoughts and having be able to process that not in a public forum. And so we are here processing in public forum with many different voices and opinions coming together. And one of the things that I am so proud of this board is that we work really well together, and we're so respectful, and we may disagree on so many things, but we do so in such a respectful way that I don't think we always see in government right now. And so it's always been my honor and privilege to serve on this board, just with the professionalism that we have here, and acknowledging that we're starting a very difficult process that have a lot of different core principles that we're all coming up against to and challenging. And I hope that we can ground whatever our ideas are in back to the law and what our charge is. And so we're going to try to develop those guiding principles. And that may not be a process that we have a set of guiding principles that we all agree on. And knowing that in the onset, there may be some that are ones that are going to have to come out during votes, that we can try our best to come to a set of guiding principles. But we are a group of individuals that are coming together as a deliberative body and looking at this plan. So we'll do our best to come up with guiding principles. We'll also develop just a model of moving forward and next steps. And I just want to make sure we point out in the agenda, I made sure it was working time all the way through 3:30, that it wasn't trying to put obligations and duties in 1 hour. So if that takes us 15 minutes or if it takes us an hour and a half, that's fine. That's why the schedule is more flexible that way, so we can go through at our own pace. And the goal today, we do have an adoption of guiding principles, and that was put on there because if we do have a set that we can all agree on, that we can vote on, that may be a motion that we have, and we want to make sure that we warn that vote. So that is on there. And so today is really just about processing, going through, listening to each other. I hope that we can be as respectful as we've been through this whole process and just move forward and try to come up with the best path forward for the state and for our students. So with that being said, we're starting our working session. We did ask the agency to prepare some documents for us. And first, if members could take out the legal requirements and legislative guidance. And I do want to thank the agency because our last meeting was only 2 weeks ago. And so a quick turnaround. In 2 weeks, we wanted some more information being presented. And again, wanting to thank the agency for all their work putting this together. And really what grounds us here today is the act itself and what's written in the act. And so if we're starting with the legal requirements and legislative guidance, and Donna, would you mind, I know you were being able to take questions for us and Brad and Emily about this memo. And so this really lays out, again, the intent, the purpose of the plan, the goals, which everybody seems to be in agreement on. That's the thing. The goals is the agreement is that to provide sustainable, equitable, and quality and variety of educational opportunities statewide, lead students to achieve or exceed the state education quality standards, maximize operational efficiencies through increased flexibility to manage, share, and transfer resources with a goal of increasing the district level ratio of students to full-time equivalent staff, promote transparency and accountability, and are delivered at a cost that parents, voters, and taxpayers value. So that's where our